Thanks again for being with us today. We just went back 50 years. Now we're going to fast forward 50 years and hear from Opportunity International's Chief Executive Officer, ATUL TANDON. Many of you know and have worked with ATUL and know that following a long and successful corporate career in global banking with Citi, ATUL heard and followed his calling and pivoted to the humanitarian sector. He has stood at the helm of Opportunity International since 2016. He is an incredible leader, and I will tell you, he has a heart for the poor. His skilled leadership has carried Opportunity through a season of significant growth, even as the world around us has seen some very challenging times. Please join me in welcoming ATUL TANDON.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, John, for that prayer. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for 50 years of faithfulness to a single call, to a single mission, a long obedience in the same direction, to respond to God's call to pick up the hurting, the cast out and the left behind on the side of the Jericho road, and restore them to a life of dignity and purpose. Thank you for that. Before I start, these are, we are here to celebrate 50 years, and many of you sitting here, and I'm sure M's minds and thoughts are full of many, many, many decades of memories, as are those of Linda Vanderweel and Mark Klutz and Larry Reed, and I could go on and on here. For all of you and each of you, you have given your time, your talents, your treasures. You've shared your testimonies around these tables, in our insight trips, sat down with our clients in villages, gone hungry, sat in little planes, taken your lives in your own hands. You've done all that simply and only to show your love to those who are left out. In all of that, and it really is my distinct privilege to stand here and remind ourselves. One of the reasons why actually I joined Opportunity and came about 5.5 years back, and we'll hear from my predecessor, Ricky Escara, shortly as well, was that the understanding that it's very rare for an organization, very rare, for-profit, non-profit, public sector, to stay focused on a single mission. Opportunity started, if you heard right, one client, Carlos Moreno, with one solution. Carlos needed a hand up. Let's give him a loan. Let's not give him a grant, because if you get a freebie, you tend to throw it away. And that learning keeps being replenished and refreshed to us even today. But it doesn't stop with a loan. It doesn't stop with simply giving somebody financial resources. Let's give him training and support. So Al Whitaker and Ross Clemenger, and you heard from David Bussau, what he did. It was the same three things: financial resources, training, and support. I'm proud and honored and frankly very humbled to say our latest client, Michelin, 250 million people later, Democratic Republic of Congo, a smallholder farmer, still the same three things: financial resources, training, and support. Our where has changed in that time. We started on the mean streets in Cali, Colombia, and now we are spread 30 countries around the world. The sun rises in the east in the Philippines, opportunities there. When it sets in the west in Peru, opportunities there. But with the same single-minded mission, 30 countries. What has changed, though, and I think each of you has been, and I could bring up, heroes of the faith and the roll call of saints right here. What has changed, though, is the how. What Opportunity is focused on, and if you think about us, and I love what David Bussau had to say, it's not the grand things we celebrate, it's the small things we celebrate. What Opportunity's focus has always been, and for 50 years has been singular, is to understand the needs of our clients, to meet them where they are, and then to either discover or to build the solutions that they need to get out of poverty. So we started with a single loan, straightforward thing to do. About 10, 12 years later, a group of women, some of you actually in the room, the Women's Opportunity Network, realized, there's a better way to go about giving loans. Let's give them as groups. So instead of one loan at a time, now you have 10 ladies getting loans. And by the way, women are better recipients of loan than men are. Now, please do not ask me to explain why. I'll take the Fifth Amendment, I think, if that's the right one, and recuse myself. But I think it's the second one. So it is. So now come the trust groups. The trust groups for Opportunity come about the same time that Professor Muhammad Yunus, you'll hear from him tonight, is discovering them in Bangladesh. Our first ones, if I'm told right, were in El Salvador. They were so successful that our loan officer, country director in El Salvador, Susie Cheston, got chased out of the country by the Sandinistas because they did not want the women in the villages to be successful. Power always preys on the poor. There has been no exception to that rule in all of humanity's history. There is no exception today. There wasn't one 100 years back. There wasn't one 10,000 years back. Our job, your job, my job, Opportunity's job has been singular: to confront that power and change the lives of the poor. Trust groups happen. Well, we realize people actually need savings more than they need loans. Because when you have a little amount of money and you want to keep it safe, where do you keep it safe? You're keeping it, if you're in Indian families, in a clay pot that we call the matka. I saw my grandmother put money in a matka. And she'd bury it right under where her coal stove was on which she used to cook. Because the coal was hot, nobody's going to dig into the coal to get to her money. So what does Opportunity do? Opportunity says, well, women need savings accounts. We're going to create savings accounts. But, $35 deposit, average size. Banks don't want to set up savings accounts for these women. So what are we going to do? Are we going to stop? No. We're going to build banks. So you think about the relentless pursuit of innovation. One loan to many loans. Loans to savings. Nobody's going to open savings accounts. We're going to open banks. Started in Latin America, went on to Eastern Europe. In fact, 5 banks in Russia at one point. Another story that there isn't time today to tell you all. Down to Africa. Savings banks start, we extend east to India. Our probably most successful operation, and you will hear if you go out to the breakout rooms from Sanish Singh, the CEO of the Avikas, our operation in India. Savings start, we have insurance, the poor don't. Catastrophe happens, what do? Opportunity registers the first micro-insurance agency in the planet here in Chicago. About 12 years after the registration, we get a large grant from the Gates Foundation to expand that idea. 12 years later, 66 million policies. Afterwards, we decide we are not an insurance company. We sell the insurance company. Take the profits, reinvest it back. Women who are now earning money, food, better housing. The third requirement, the third use of increased earnings, almost universally across the world, is education, better education for their children. There aren't enough schools. What does Opportunity do? Opportunity decides to start financing the expansion of schools. Smallholder farmers, the last bastion of endemic poverty. The same 3 solutions: financial resources, training, and support. But how do you get to millions of farmers? Opportunity comes up with in innovation, and I know Tim Strong, our global head of Ag Finance, will talk more about it later today in his breakout group. Farmer support agents, model farmers who are now standing with their brothers and sisters to provide training, to provide support. And by the way, the model farmers are not simply showing up to do that, they've got tablets. If you walk with the model farmer, that model farmer with his tablet can tell you the quality of the soil in the farm that they're visiting. They can tell you what fertilizer and water that should be administered. The same tablet lets our loan officers look at the entire, how the loan is performing. The same tablet lets the bank figure out what the portfolio size looks like. So the marriage of digital technology, digital transformation with the person, high touch, high tech, changing lives of now millions of farmers. That journey continues. We've spent the last 2 days before the summit in a 2-day exercise in reimagining the future of opportunity, what it would look like if there were no barriers to designing products and delivering products using technology. So that's what lies ahead. Probably one of the most important innovations that we did in the last few years, and I have to credit my predecessors for this and the leadership at that time, was to come to the understanding that we needed a pivot. The journey that we had started on almost 50 years back, 40 years back, 30 years back, of starting to build the infrastructure to serve the poor, the banks, the financial institutions, was no longer needed. We were no longer required to own and operate the financial institutions that delivered our products and services. Why? Because we'd actually been pretty successful in proving that there was a fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, that commercial operations could serve these people successfully. So now you find lots of banks, lots of microfinance institutions, lots of telephone company operators willing to serve that marketplace. So what does opportunity do? True to its long-standing tradition of innovation, true to the call to constantly find better solutions to serve the poor, opportunity does a massive pivot. We decide we're no longer going to own and operate banks. We're going to partner with banks. We're going to partner with the financial institutions. We're going to partner with healthcare providers. We're going to provide them the risk capital that they need. We're going to provide them the technical expertise that they need. We're going to provide them with hundreds and thousands, and eventually hundreds of thousands of trusted advisors to connect directly with the poor. The result of that model change has been for us a dramatic growth in outreach and outcomes. And if the numbers are not there on my back, I will read them out to you. From the summer of 2016 to now the spring of 2021, our client base on loan clients alone has grown from 4.7 million clients to 7.1 million clients. The total number of clients opportunities serves today has grown from about 12 million to 19 million clients. Dramatic expansion in education finance. 1,200 schools to 15,000 schools. Almost 1.9 million children to 8 million students in schools. 23 partners powering our growth to today, 104 partners. 250 million lives touched. If I look out to the next 3 years, what we accomplished in 50 years, 250 million, we will be reaching an additional 25 million people just in the next 3 years. The power of leverage and the power of innovation. That's been Opportunity's story for 50 years, and it continues to be.